It's the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special from you.
Guys, I told you it was smoky.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. You can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car, him to therapy on time. It's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super things they say to them are not true and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know the care about the G by the Ad Council.
Already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple saving plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna take
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a good man. That's very much.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
all right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
It's a lot more for Radio Network. You're tuned into Game On with Josh Silverberg.
Game on!
Talking all things sports. It's
Game on! Yeah, game on!
Game On, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Game On here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to do so many things. You might hear a little background noise. I'm trying to fix that. I will fix that during the break. That is for sure. I am Josh Silverberg, your host, joining you every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Guys, I know my head is a little cut out and everything like that. I am actually not in my home studio. I'm actually at another place right now, so I am doing the show from there as well. Don't forget you can check out my show and all different shows and platforms and so much more, ladies and gentlemen, by checking us out on worldwidesportsradio.com. And check us out as well on the free app, WWSRN. Type that in, as well as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, I just got to do this really quick. Okay. Okay. So we're going to go to one break today. It is going to be, we're going to have our break at 6:30 and stuff like that. So we can't do our usual. We just had a little bit of some technical difficulties. Okay, so just give me 1 second. Just trying to figure out all of this and everything at once. And we have a lot to get to, a lot to discuss. Of course, we're going to recap the NHL Trade Deadline, what happened, the winners, the losers of the deadline. We'll get into that, piece it together, what that does for the races going forward, for how it's going to affect teams, that and so much more. I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit. I mean, pretty much today was just a dead day because everything had already happened. We're going to get into the World Baseball Classic with that starting up next week, as well as the teams and the players start to report. So teams and players are going to start to lose players from spring training. They're going to go to their respective countries' facilities and do all of that and start training there. The New York Jets and the conversation of the quarterback. We're hearing so many different things. We're going to discuss that a little bit later on in the show with Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. It sounds like the Jets are going to end up with one of those two. It just depends on which one it is that they're going to get that. And we'll do a little preview of AEW Revolution, which is this Sunday. I know Lyle is actually there in San Francisco, which is pretty cool. So he is there now, actually doing that. So that sounds like a great time. And then, of course, we'll get to our buzzer beater, that and so much more. I mean, like I said, this is a jam-packed show. We're going to try to get everything as much as we possibly can. Again, I know it seems a little wonky. We're not going to do our usual 20-minute breaks. We're going to go to a break at 6:30. Then we'll come back straight for the show and do it in that perspective. I will try to get to everybody's comments. I'm actually going to – I tried to open it up on another computer, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the comments up and everything like that. So, and all of that. So much more we have to get to. And, of course, we start with the leadoff spot, and that's the number one, and that's the NHL Trade Deadline. And, of course, the leadoff spot, we do little tidbits of everything and so much more. The NHL Trade Deadline has come, and it has gone. It's over. Teams got better. Teams didn't do enough. Obviously, of course, sticking point are the two teams that really stood out. And again, we'll discuss in a little bit. The New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins, just way better. Of course, the New Jersey Devils getting Timo Meier. That's going to help them tremendously. I mean, you have to remember, they're only a point behind the Carolina Hurricanes right now, which is crazy to think because we were assuming it was going to be Rangers, Devils. Well, now all of a sudden the Devils are a point behind the Hurricanes, and the Rangers are only a couple points in front of the Penguins now. And they play them 3 times in the next 8 days, 10 days, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So that and so much more. My mom says hi. And then so much more. Ben with the nice hug. And, of course, Snug doing the hurry. Welcome to Pants Free Friday on Game On. I am wearing pants, you know. I am definitely not wearing pants. I can tell you, I am wearing pants. Snug, you're throwing me off. And then so much more. And of course, yes, Lyle is in San Francisco. So that's part one. The New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins, got exponentially better. Of course, it's about gelling the pieces together, and of course, those two teams will play each other tomorrow. At 1 o'clock on ABC. So, that's going to be a game. I have a feeling the Bruins are going to just dismantle the Rangers tomorrow. The Rangers are still going to play shorthanded. I know Boston will, and so much of that is going on, but we'll get into that in a little bit. The number 2 spot, Jalen Carter, doing his thing at the NFL Combine. And, man, let me tell you something. This is going to really hurt this kid. Now, he's still going to be picked in the top 10. The thing about Jalen Carter is that a lot of people had him maybe as a top 5 pick. But he was lying to police about what happened in the car accident with one of his teammates and a staff member who both, of course, sadly passed away. Here's the thing. It's really unfortunate when something like this does come about. And then he came back to the Combine the next day. and really the reality of it is this with Jalen Carter. When you start to lie to authorities, this is when it gets to be tricky for teams to figure out, do we want to take the chance on a player like this? Do we want to go all in on it? Now, of course, he's a very talented player. He's one of the best players in this draft. He's right behind Will Anderson for the best defensive player in this draft, probably. But the thing of it is that when you lie to authorities right before the Combine and you're being interviewed by teams and you're doing all of this stuff, it really, excuse me, it really makes the whole thing, because then teams are going to start to, the teams that had him maybe first, second, third on their draft board now have to start to figure out, and they have to question, okay, is he worth the risk? Does the talent outweigh the character? And that's something that some players need to, some teams need to figure out going forward. And that's the thing with Jalen Carter. He's in that issue, in that boat right now, where he needs to figure out, am I worth the risk with a top 10 draft pick? Can I take the chance if I'm an organization, put all my eggs in the basket of Jalen Carter and say, is he a reliable guy? Is he going to stay out of trouble? Is he going to... Now, again, he didn't murder anybody or kill anybody, but lied to authorities about the accident. He was there and he directed the cops in another direction, and it's a whole wacky, crazy story. And again, Snug brings up a great point, and that was actually he was the player I was going to bring up, was Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons, of course, people were saying, with the gang-related stuff, everything of that nature, has completely outweighed the trouble, because he hasn't been trouble so far with the Dallas Cowboys. He stayed in a straight path. He hasn't gone with the outer crowd that maybe he was hanging out with. He has stayed the course. And that, to me, is a big thing that teams have to figure out. Now, listen, if Jalen Carter ends up being Michael Parsons, of course you're going to take the chance and risk. We don't know if that's the case. Some guys are like that. Some guys might not be. And then, of course, the third part of the leadoff spot is another issue that's going on, and that's Ja Morant, who is one of the faces of the NBA. The report came out that he was playing a pickup basketball game with a 17-year-old, punched him 13 times, and pulled out a gun on the kid. And then at the game last night, he decided to use the finger gun celebration when somebody on Memphis made a basket. I mean, you got to get a clue, don't you, at this point? Now, the thing about Ja Morant is this. He has the world at the tip of his fingers right now. He's one of the faces of the NBA. He's on a very good Memphis team. They're a team that's competing for a championship. He's one of the best players in basketball. And again, he's growing into one of the faces of the sport. And then this happens. And you figure out later on, well, if you're Ja Morant, do you think it was really bright to basically say, I'm going to do the gun celebration? You know what I mean? So for me, it's a matter of, and again, Snug, I get what you're saying. Here's the difference, though. This guy he's something that kids look up to in Ja Morant. He's in the public eye. That's the difference. He's in the public eye where he's the face of a global empire in the NBA, the National Basketball Association. So if you're Ja Morant and you do this stunt, you have to ask yourself, what was I thinking? Why did I do it? And how do I fix it? And the thing of it is, like I said, pulling out the gun on a minor, no less, is a killer. Because it's going to... now, again, he's still playing because, of course, the NBA cannot suspend him until the authorities do their entire report all of that and so much more. They can't do anything with him yet. He gets to continue to play. That's the way it is. You can't just, if you're the Grizzlies, you can't suspend him without all the evidence being put out there. Now, of course, you can have him go on a leave, but you cannot put him out there and pull him until, again, you get the full report. But the fact that he attacked a minor, pulled a deadly weapon on him, this is just, it's a killer in my eyes because, he could go to jail for this. Now, look, everybody's going to say he's an athlete. He's going to get out of it. We always see this, blah, blah, blah. We'll see. I'm not sure. Again, more of the news has to come out. The reports got to come out. All of that. But to then do the gun celebration yesterday was just idiotic and stupid. Dude, have a clue and read the room. It's simple as that. Have a clue, read the room, and understand the situation that you're in right now in the public eye, which is, dude, you pulled a gun on a kid the other day, and now you're doing a gun celebration? What are you thinking? Why? So that, to me, I just throw my hands up in the air and I go, it's crazy what some people do. Let's get to the NHL. I'm just reading Snug's comments. I can't. I love Snug. He's funny. To me, let's get to the NHL trade deadline. And I find the NHL trade deadline to be the best deadline day of any of the sports, with next to the baseball. The football and the basketball one, you don't really do. This year with basketball was wild, right? Because Kyrie and KD were just, that was Gilbert Arenas. Yes, that was Gilbert Arenas that did that. Raymond Felton actually did it too. All these trades happened very early on. Teams got ahead of the pack before it really could fluctuate to the point where today you really didn't see anything. And again, I have my winners, I have my losers, I have it already up and ready to go. So for me, my winners, I got a couple of them. One, of course, I got to give it to the Boston Bruins. Garner Hathaway, Dmitry Orlov, then getting Tyler Bertuzzi, and then you sign Pasternak, which I know isn't a trade, but you get the Pasternak signing for 8 years, $90 million. Sweeney had a killer of a trade deadline this year, and that team is deep. Now, Hall, they say, could be back in 4 weeks, which, of course, leads them into the playoffs, and you put Hall on that third line and everything like that. I did want to look something up really quick, and again, this is nice. You have two computers where I am. It's crazy. I want to see. Okay, so he will play tomorrow. So Brad Marchand is in the game tomorrow for the Boston Bruins. He's in the game tomorrow. Marchand will play tomorrow. To me, the thing of it is, I think the Boston Bruins are the team to beat in the NHL. Plain and simple. They are. They're the best team. Montgomery got a second chance after how he left Dallas in a way where, of course, abusive to players. You sit back, you learn from that, and you take that all in. I think Jim Montgomery has fit in very nicely. So to me, I think when I look at how the Boston Bruins are built, they're a juggernaut right now. But again, it's all about who gets hot at the right time in the playoffs. That's what it really will come down to. Olmark's running away with the Vezina. We know that this year. We get that. He's the guy scoring goals now. And Jeremy Swayman would start on 85% of the teams in the league. So the Bruins have a great 1-2 punch. That defense has been great this year for them. Marchand's doing what he does. Bergeron's having another good year. Pasta's doing what he's doing. Now you add Tyler Bertuzzi. You're going to get Hall back in a few weeks. It's a cakewalk now. The Bruins are just focused on the playoffs, and that's all they need to worry about. Another team that won the deadline, of course, is the New York Rangers, who, listen, they got Vladimir Tarasenko, and they got Patrick Kane. Now, they're going to have $16.5 million in the salary cap after the season is over. It's going to be very difficult to sign those guys. Maybe Kane wants to stay, or maybe Tarasenko wants to stay for a massive discount. We don't know. And I know people are obviously the Rangers lost last night. It's, as a Rangers fan, it sucked that they lost that game, but not making excuses, but Ottawa has been really hot. Tim Stützle has been fantastic this year for the Senators. That's why they got Jacob Chikrin, who they're in a race right now, Ottawa, to make the playoffs, and they're close. And Cam Talbot's playing great. I knew every time the Rangers play one ex-Ranger, that ex-Ranger always scores. Of course, Derek Brassard was the one that did it. So they got Jacob Chikrin at the deadline, and they basically got Chikrin for almost nothing, which is a joke by the Coyotes. When I look at how the Rangers are, I think, once they get everybody back after the Miller suspension, which was idiotic on his part, and they get Lindgren back, they'll be fully healthy on defense. I forget the guy's name on Ottawa last night that wailed Mott yesterday, who, by the way, he literally lifted his shoulder into Mott's head while jumping off the ice. And Mott didn't have the puck. So therefore, that warrants, he got kicked out of the game. That warrants a suspension. And Paro said today, we're not even going to have a hearing for a guy who's been a repeat offender, which is crazy. But now Mott's hurt, so you got to figure that out. The Rangers, I know, made a couple of minor moves today. I still like what the Rangers did, of course. Listen, when you have a chance to get Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko, you're gonna do it. And the goal Tarasenko did last night was wild. I think the Rangers will be fine. Do I think they can win? Of course, I think they can win the Cup. Do I think they're as good as Boston? No, I don't. I think Boston is that deep. I think right now on paper, I think they're better than Carolina. I think they're better than Jersey. I think they're better than Toronto by smidge. Tampa's interesting. Tampa doesn't have the depth the Rangers have, but of course they have Vasilevsky in net. And that's the thing, and to me, that's the advantage the Rangers are going to have is with Shesterkin in net. Is Shesterkin's having a good year. He's not having what he had last year. And I think people have to realize he's having a good year. He's not having the year he had last year. It's not really going to happen, but then yet Linus Ullmark's having that kind of year. But again, to me, I look at the Rangers as a threat. Of course, they have so much depth. I think once they get healthy, they're not going to play shorthanded anymore. I mean, you have to remember they played Wednesday night, shorthanded, down 2 defensemen. Kane wasn't even there yet, so they played 11 forward, 5T. Went to overtime against Philly, and then had to play the next day with all the emotion of Kane. And then they play tomorrow against Boston. I expect Boston to whoop them tomorrow. I really do. Errol said I was negative earlier today about it. I think Boston's going to beat them down tomorrow because, again, the Rangers are going to play shorthanded again tomorrow. That's just what it is. And then they play Montreal Thursday, so they don't play again until Thursday, so they get a little break here. But, again, it's starting to get close now. Pittsburgh is really creeping up there. But we'll see. I think the Devils won at the deadline, of course, getting Timo Meier. That was a great move for New Jersey, of course, to add to that team, to go with Jack Hughes. The problem with New Jersey is I still look at the goaltending situation with them. I mean, Vita Vanacek has not been great the last couple of games. And Vanacek, I don't believe, has ever started more than 42 games in a season. Now you're asking him to do that. It's going to be tough. But listen, they're only a point behind Carolina right now. And then another team I think that did really well was Toronto. I love what Toronto did. They got some sandpaper on their line. That's what they needed, grit and sandpaper players. They needed that. They need to get out of there this year. They have to get out of the first round this year. Now, the problem with Toronto is they're going to be matched up against Tampa. Tampa's going to have Vasilevsky. You have to understand that. They're going to go with it's going to be Murray and I forget the name of the other goal that they have. But either way, they're not going to have the advantage in net. Vasilevsky's the guy there. And Vasilevsky, remember, beat Toronto last year too. So clearly he's in Toronto's head. We'll see where that goes. The West, I mean, look, I think I like what Vegas did. I think getting Quick was an interesting one. I really think. To me, the thing about Quick is this. I feel like once you get into the playoffs, I feel like Jonathan Quick can turn it on. I still believe that. And he's going to be amped because of what happened with the way the Kings treated him. That's a fact. The way the LA Kings treated him and shoved him out the door was as interesting as it gets. I'm curious how this goes. I know the Kings players were not happy about this trade. To me, I just think that was, something that I think if you're the Kings, you have to look at it and you have to say to yourself, okay, we traded him, but the thing is, we didn't really pick anybody up to replace what Quick is. That's the thing that I think is going to be fascinating. So we'll see where that goes. I do want to get into a little bit more hockey talk when we come back from break. I know we're going to go to break. I know, like I said, things are a little different. We're not going to take any phone calls tonight, unfortunately, due to some technical issues. But again, please keep listening. Please keep tuning in. I'm going to get into a couple more things that happened at the deadline. I'm going to get into my losers of the deadline and what this can do going forward for certain teams. We're going to get into that, get into the Jets QB conversation going on with that, and so much more. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back. This is Game On here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest how students like me go to college. This is beyond a donation. Tune in for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential could grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who could change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles. But what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor. Because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
The They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hit that click. Never give up. Until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela is such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
The Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Game on!
You're listening to Game On with Josh Silverberg.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Game On, joining you every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on WWSR, and every Friday. And we have a lot to get to. We're going to get to a little bit more hockey conversation right now. Then we'll do some football as we are running out of time soon. Let's get to it. I want to get into my losers of the NHL Trade Deadline. My losers, the Carolina Hurricanes. I feel like they didn't do enough to really bolster their chances of, getting any better. I should plug this in, by the way. Check us out on worldwidesportsradio.com. Check that out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. And, of course, on the WWSRN app. But, again, what we were discussing is about the Carolina Hurricanes. And they had $10.5 million in salary cap after Max Pacioretty was placed on long-term IR. He's done for the year. It's, that it's really interesting because with the New York Jets, with the Carolina Hurricanes, because I did just get a pretty big story just now. I'm going to hold it. I'm eager to tell it, but I'm going to hold it. What I will say is this. I feel like the Hurricanes, to me, are not as good right now as the Rangers or even possibly. I think they're a little better than the Devils because they have Anderson in goal. But right now, like I said, if the Devils take them over in first place, the Rangers would match up with the Hurricanes. That might be a tough matchup for the Hurricanes, I think, in my eyes, in my opinion, and everything like that. So to me, what I'm saying, it's to me, how I view this is this. The Hurricanes, to me, I don't think did enough to improve their chances of winning the Stanley Cup. They didn't do enough. They should have used that cap more. I know they really want the Timo Meier. I think they should have pulled the trigger. That, to me, is going to be fascinating. The San Jose Sharks are another loser team. They didn't get enough for Timo Meier. They could have gotten a lot more, I felt. I think for them, it was not great. The return, very underwhelming. I mean, you held the guy out for 2 weeks. You talked about it over the summer. Then you held him out again this year, and that's the return you got. Very underwhelming with them. The Blackhawks, unfortunately, their hands were tied with the Kane thing. They probably wanted more for Kane. They probably could have gotten more for Kane. Unfortunately, Kane said his Rangers are nothing. didn't have a choice. They had to do what they had to do, or losing for nothing. That those are a couple of teams. I feel Seattle didn't do anything in net. They needed a goalie. They didn't get one. So those are a couple of the teams I would say that did not do enough or really to improve their team going forward. So those are my losers. We'll see how it plays out. Like I said, these things play out. There's still a couple more weeks left of the season. You'll see it, you ride with it, and that's how we go. All right. Now it's time for this story that just popped up. For those that, both Zach Rosenblatt, who writes for The Athletic, he's a reporter for the Jets, has said that the Jets are likely the favorites for Derek Carr. That's why Carr has not signed. He supposedly really wants to be a Jet. He's had great conversations with them, met with Woody Johnson, Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh was supposed to be there as well, but he got the stomach bug. He could not make the meeting. Now, we know this about Derek Carr. The thing of it is, it's, and I'm going to bring up the other thing. And the thing about Derek Carr is this. With Derek Carr, the expectation for the Jets is playoffs. That's the expectation, is playoffs. It's playoffs. You go there, you go from there, and you go and you work with it that way. You have the pieces to make them better. And I don't want to hear about this cold weather nonsense. I said it a few weeks ago. I'm tired of it. The 4-18 garbage that I keep hearing. Stop it. Enough. It's to me, it's so silly. It's nonsensical, and it's so ridiculous that I'm tired of hearing it. It really is mind-boggling. Derek Carr, and I went by the stats last week when I was doing the show with Speedy last week. It's the thing about Carr is this. He's a top 11, 12 quarterback in my eyes. He is. My opinion. I think he is. The numbers speak for himself. He's a near 4,000-yard passer every single season he's played in the NFL. In a rough year this year. I mean, look, Josh McDaniels was the head coach. And now reports are coming out that it's really difficult to play there in Vegas, just like it was difficult playing in Denver. It was the same issue. And this is, of course, this is the thing about McDaniels. He doesn't get the best of what he has. That team should have been in the playoffs this year. They were the worst defense in the NFL. What is Derek Carr supposed to do with that? He's not on the field when the defense is playing. That's one thing. So Zach Rosenblatt, who writes for The Athletic and writes for the Jets for The Athletic, it says that the Jets are the favorites for Derek Carr. That's why he hasn't signed. He's waiting. And then this just came out. Daniel Jeremiah and Rich Eisen, who are both at the NFL Combine, quote, in the halls of the Combine, Jeremiah says he thinks Rodgers will be a Jet, and he also says he does not think it will take a first-round pick. That just came in a few minutes ago. And then today, Adam Schefter said on SportsCenter, my sense is, quote, my sense is it will come down to whether he wants to play elsewhere, which would be really the New York Jets, or whether he wants to retire. To me, those are the two most logical options and the two most likely scenarios here. So Daniel Jeremiah, Rich Eisen, and Adam Schefter are both hearing that Aaron Rodgers, it sounds like, would okay a trade to the New York Jets. Now, I said Carr playoffs. If it's Aaron Rodgers, you're talking Super Bowl then. That's the expectation. And then the expectation would then be Zach Wilson's going to learn from him for the next 2 years. You hope you get 2 years out of Rodgers. That's the only scary part is Rodgers going to give you is he going to give you the full 2 years? See, now I'm like looking things up now. I got to be able to, I got to see now what else is happening. But when Adam Schefter and Rich Eisen and Daniel Jeremiah are hearing this, it sounds to me like Rodgers would okay a trade to the Jets. And why wouldn't he? He's got a top 5 defense. He's going to have Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Brees Hall. He'll have a couple of nice times in Conklin and Usuma. You get Becton and Vera Tucker back. If you don't trade the first round pick, if you trade like a third or something or a fourth, well, that's great. Then, you draft another offensive lineman. I heard this. They love the kid Branch from Alabama, the safety. They could go there. If Dwayne Brown comes back, this has become, you're hoping by next week. Because, again, Carr said he wants to do this before the legal tampering, which is, I believe, March 13th. So the hope is that this gets done. Now, again, Aaron Rodgers has a very close inner circle. Just because Jeremiah and Schefter and I'm just going to pull up back my see, that's what happens when I hear things. When I look at where the New York Jets are, and when I hear Daniel Jeremiah, and again, Rich Eisen and Adam Schefter both reporting, you get a vibe that Aaron Rodgers is basically saying, I'll go to the Jets. I'll go to the Jets. I'll go there. And you know what? Honestly, at the same time, if you're the New York Jets, you're talking Super Bowl. And I'm tired of people saying he's a bad guy. He's not a good teammate. He doesn't do this. First off, everything I've heard is he's a great teammate. That's number one. He's a great teammate. Number two, so he likes to do ayahuasca and he likes to sit in dark rooms for a couple of days. Listen, if it were up to me, I'd love to sit in a dark room for 3 days and not have everybody know where I am. That would be my take on it. But you cannot sit here and tell me that if you're Aaron Rodgers, you see the weapons the New York Jets have. I mean, you got to be intrigued by it. And if the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, they're in the Super Bowl conversation, as crazy as that is. They are. That boost way up here. Derek Carr would give you a nice 4 or 5 years. Do I think Derek Carr can win a Super Bowl with the Jets? I don't. You're going to have Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence, Jackson, Watson, all that in the AFC. With Rodgers, you can compete. Rodgers plays in cold weather. He knows how to handle the elements. And I know people are going to look at his playoffs the last couple of years, and they've not been great. We're fully aware of that. But you can't sit here and tell me with the top 5 defense and the playmakers the Jets have on offense, that if the Jets got Aaron Rodgers, it didn't cost them a first-round pick, it would be huge for the New York Jets. Now, it's so funny. I get asked this question. Would you want to be in purgatory if the Jets won a Super Bowl, Rodgers retired? Would you want to be in purgatory for the next 5 or 6, 7 years? Hey, yeah, I would. Oh, yeah. In a heartbeat. No question I would. I would 100% take that in a second. Look at Tampa. They're going to be in purgatory for the next 6 or 7, 8 years probably. Guess what? They got a Super Bowl championship with Tom Brady going there. The idea that the New York Jets think, and then another thing, and Snug brought up a great point. Whoa, well, he had a broken thumb. He still had a pretty good season. Now, he didn't have it up to the Aaron Rodgers spectacle that he normally does. If Aaron Rodgers goes to the New York Jets, the Jets are Super Bowl contenders. And as crazy as that sounds, that's the facts. Go look at the team. Look at the team around him. Look at what he'll do for them. You bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, it sets the tone for bringing in a player like that to an organization that needs something like this. And if Aaron Rodgers succeeds, forget about it. Players are going to always want to go there then. But again, the New York Jets, to me, have to figure out what do they want to do. Do they want to do the 1 or 2 years with Rodgers, or do they want to go stability and have 4 or 5 years with Carr and make the playoffs, but not win that Super Bowl? Where Rodgers will give you that Super Bowl opportunity. I mean, Rodgers again is going to have Wilson, Moore. They'll probably get another veteran receiver here. I wouldn't be shocked if Lazard signed with the Jets. That's what the New York Jets need to figure out. Do you want to go, we'll be competitive with Carr, or do you want to go, I want to be in a Super Bowl conversation for the next 2 years and go that route? And let Zach Wilson sit, and hopefully he gets something because Rodgers was his role model. That's where the New York Jets need to get this right and figure this out. It's going to be one of the two. It's going to be one of those two guys. It will either be Rodgers or Carr. There's a reason why Derek Carr has not signed yet. And I know that's the story. The Saints want to sign Carr. Carr not signing. Carr's not signing yet. Why hasn't he signed? Because clearly he's waiting for the Jets. Because Derek Carr wants to go to the Jets. But Derek Carr may not get the opportunity if Aaron Rodgers says, I'll go to the Jets. I see what they're building. I like it. And I bet you Aaron Rodgers finds a way to tell Green Bay, I'll do it, but you're not taking all those draft picks from them. That you're not doing. Because then what I'll do is I'll retire. And then they get nothing out of it. That's where Aaron Rodgers has the advantage. All right. I want to get to a little bit of the World Baseball Classic. That is starting up next week. So I always love the World Baseball Classic. To me, it's interesting. I find the favorite to me this year is the Dominican Republic. Their team is a joke in regards to what their lineup is. You know, the USA is competitive, of course. Puerto Rico, Japan, the usual is Cuba. The DR is unbelievably sick this year. And to me, I think that's going to be must-watch TV. Now, years ago when the World Baseball Classic first started, excuse me, the DR also had an unbelievably great team. The problem was they lost to the Netherlands because the problem was there were too many stars and doing this thing, and it didn't work out. I personally, excuse me, think the DR this year is a juggernaut that's going to be really tough to beat in my eyes and my expectation. I don't know. Now, the USA has a nice team. They're nowhere near close to the talent that the Dominican Republic have. I mean, the lineup for the DR is it's unbelievable. I'm gonna pull it if it lets me. I'm gonna pull it up right now. So the Dominican Republic roster, I'm gonna pull it up. Right now, their roster is. Their pitchers are Brian Abreu, Sandy Alcantara, Ronel Blanco, Genesis Cabrera, Diego Castillo, Ronzi Contreras, Johnny Cueto, De Los Santos, Camilo Doval, Carlos Estevez, Jarlin Garcia, Luis Garcia, Yimi Garcia, Christian Javier, Rafael Montero, Hector Neris, Joel Payams, Gregory Soto, and Cesar Valdez. Then they have Francisco Mejia and Gary Sanchez as the catchers. This is where it gets ridiculous, guys. This is where it gets ridiculous. And I actually love the World Baseball Classic, Snug. I like it because I enjoy it. Willie Adames, Robinson Cano. Then it's this Rafael Devers, Wander Franco, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Manny Machado, Ketel Marte, Jeremy Pena, Gene Segura, Teoscar Hernandez, Eloy Jimenez, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, and Nelson Cruz. That's the Dominican Republic lineup. Not to mention they're going to have all the Astros pitchers and Sandy Alcantara starting for them. I mean, that's wild. That's crazy when you think about that, because it's almost like where are you going to put everybody? Well, actually, you have Machado with, you're going to have Machado at third. And everything in that nature. By the way, I did just get another breaking story, by the way. So according to John Butchergrass, an NHL team is coming to Atlanta. They're bringing back the Thrashers. That's what they're doing. They're going to bring back the Atlanta Thrashers. Didn't do great then. I wonder if it'll do well now, but we'll see. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, you could put Franco at short, Machado at third, Devers DH. Oh, man. Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto in the outfield. It's crazy. Guerrero will be at first. Yeah, you could put Robinson Cano at second. So, but to me, I love the World Baseball Classic. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. It's interesting. It really is. The players really get into it. So to me, I enjoy it very much. I remember the Adam Jones catch when he robbed Machado when the U.S. played the Dominican Republic years ago. So, so to me, and everything. But let's get into a little AEW conversation before we end the show. And Revolution is this Sunday in San Francisco Live. We'll be there. The build-up for the show has not been great. I'm going to tell you right now, WWE programming has been light years better than AEW's. The World Championship match between MJF and Bryan Danielson, there's been not much build-up. I know they've had the tit for tats and all this stuff, but to me, the build-up for it has not been great. I have not really enjoyed it at all very much. I don't know. I excuse me. I haven't really liked it per se. So to me, when I look at how AEW's built this pay-per-view up, it's been a drag. It really has been a drag. Like, I'm disappointed almost for them that this is the product, the way they're doing it. WWE's not buying AEW snug. Khan has more money than they all do. That's not happening. So, to me, when I look at how, and the ratings speak for itself, I think the draw and the build for AEW for this pay-per-view specifically has not been great. It's on a Sunday, too. I can't stand that. I love when they do the Saturday shows. Like, when I went to Full Gear in November, it was a Saturday night. It was perfect at Prudential Center. It was great. Hate the Sunday pay-per-views. Then again, if you're on the West Coast, it's great. When I went to Vegas for Double or Nothing in May, it was awesome. Because the show started at 8, which was 5 o'clock their time, and the show ended at around 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was awesome. Yeah, the whole evening, everything like that, it was good. So, to me, with Revolution, I'm curious what the buys are going to be. I think the Elite and the House of Black match is going to be a match that stands out the most because the high-flying ability, stuff like that. And now you're hearing the reports that maybe Kenny Omega might, Ali is here. Love it. And love Ali. Big fan. To me, when I think about what AEW is doing, they got to do a better job of building up rivalries. Like Hangman Moxley has been a good one. Great. Stuff like that. And then, of course, the rumor that Kenny Omega could be going to WWE is another fascinating concept because Omega has maybe he's maybe seeing what Cody is doing. He's saying, this looks pretty good over there. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the show entails for this weekend. I expect MJF to win. Hater's going to win. I definitely think Jay White's going to be going to WWE, Ali. I think it's going to be the night after Mania on Raw is when he's going to debut. My concern is, do the WWE fans know enough about Switchblade? That's the thing, whereas AEW fans watch New Japan. That's my concern. So we'll see. But, I mean, I think it'll be a good show. I just don't think the build has been good enough. So that's my take. All right. It is time now to get to my buzzer beater, ladies and gentlemen. And my buzzer beater is about the NBA. And it is about the Eastern Conference going on. And it's crazy. The Bucks, 16 straight wins. Ben is ecstatic about it, I'm sure. The Celtics doing their thing. How about the Knicks in this conversation? How about the New York Knicks? Jalen Brunson, what a stud he's been for the New York Knicks. They got him on a 4-year deal. You know what I mean? To me, Snug, let me tell you something. If you could preach that to WWE, I'd sign on in a second. I know Lyle would too. But the problem is Lyle hates WWE, so he probably wouldn't be against it. But I would go. I think if you're the New York Knicks and Knicks fan, temper the expectations. But I could really see this Knicks team winning a round or two. I really can. When I look at them, and they're going to play Miami tonight. And Carl's in now. I mean, Carl's at the tail end of the show. But I know Carl's very busy and stuff like that, so it's understandable. I miss seeing Carl, that's for sure. Carl, you missed all my rumors and my breaking news stuff, man. You got to check. You got to rewatch the show. But to me, I think the Knicks are in this not to win a championship or even win the East, but be a team that maybe players are now going to want to go to and stuff like that. So we'll see about that. We'll see where it goes. I'm excited for the Knicks as a Knicks fan. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Game On this evening. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I know it was a little all over the place. Like I said, I'm in another place right now. I'm not doing it in my home studio. And then, of course, we had a little technical difficulty at the beginning of the show, but we got through it. Again, don't forget to check us out on worldwidesportsradio.com. And check us out on the app at WWSRN. Type that in. Of course, I got to thank Speedy Petey helping produce the show. I got to thank the fans for listening and watching. Again, you can check out all the other great shows that we have on here. Sports Loudmouths, The Wise Guys, The Betting Show, The Herd, Kenny's show as well. I'm giving him a plug, Snug. Kenny's show as well. You can check that out. And so much more. Don't forget to check out The Weekend Crunch on 103.9 FM every Saturday, either at 7 o'clock or after Islander games on 103.9 FM. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the Combine this weekend. Enjoy AEW this weekend. Enjoy all the sports this weekend. I'll be watching the Rangers get clobbered by the Bruins tomorrow. And then I'll maybe feel a little bit better by watching AEW, but we'll see. Enjoy everything, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful weekend. See you back here Friday at 6 o'clock right here on Game On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Take care, everybody.